So, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Thank you. Welcome to the first panel for this afternoon. And today we're going to talk about what does the Korean, Chinese, and the Western community want or need. And I'm the moderator of this session. My name is Dafeng from EOS Asia. So, before we start, let's go a quick round of introduction. Tell us your name and the BP that you're representing and the country that you are from.
Okay. EOSRio. I'm from EOS Amsterdam, which is the country, the Netherlands. And as a block producer, we are block producing currently number 11. Thank you for all your votes. And we focus on, of course, accountability, security, and compliance, which is my ball game.
Cool. Hahn?
Hello, nice to meet you all. My name is Hahn from EOS NodeOne. And yeah, we began as a startup, and then our rank ranges from number 3 to 30 something. So it's kind of right. But then we are proud that we are one of the most close to the community BP. Yeah, good to see you, everybody here.
No.
And thank you to NodeOne for actually putting this on, right? My name is Yves. I'm from EOS Nation, and we're based in Canada. We have 7 co-founders, and we have one in the US as well. And our focus is on community engagement, so events like these.
Hey everyone, this is Bo from EOS Silicon Valley. And then we are located at the Silicon Valley, and then so we're actually a pretty diverse team with people from American, Chinese, and Australian. So I think we're just something in between. And then we're focusing on bringing the EOS to the Silicon Valley community, and then we're helping to bring the whole EOS to the worldwide level. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Ricky from EOS Cannon, a China block producer. Once block producer, now is standby. We are focused on the education, the community, and educate the developer to enlarge our community. We are very proud of we can join this wonderful project. Yes, thank you everyone.
It's cool. So as we can see on the floor today, we have block producers from all around the world representing different part of token holder community. And so the first question I want to go with Ricky from Cannon. So how do you stay in touch with your community? Like, what are the ways?
First of all, basically we just for invest our group. Well, we have a lot of big holder in our WeChat group. We set up a threshold, and every member in our WeChat group need 50K EOS. He can join us.
Wow.
And then we think we have technology, we have community, and we have big holder. So why we not to do a block producer? Then we start to introduce EOS to our community and improve our technology. And we have the channel on top community, social community. We have 60,000 fans on our account. We announce we write the article every day to update the news all over the world over the EOS. So I think we are hope our community can be DAC, a real DAC company. Every member in our community come from different city. We have no company entity. We hope we can do this thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
60,000 of a lot of people with a lot of tokens as well. So do you think the token holders that have large amount of EOS think differently than the smaller token holders?
Yeah, they are very understand the EOS. They are very they have very much requirement to know about EOS. They check the news every day, talk about the everything update. So that's a different thing with the smallholder.
I see. And I also want to ask Hahn, you talk about that you've been engaging with the local Korean community a lot. What are some of the ways that you did that?
So we are very communicative with local Korean community. We have almost 5,500 Telegram group members and 3,500, almost 4,000, sorry, and then 5,000 followers. And then there's there's whales, and then there's a small, fishes like me. And then, as Ricky said, their perspective is very different. Whales, one of the fundamental differences that whales tends to see it very long term. While the smallholders, they cannot endure the price changes.
Fluctuations.
Yeah, so they are easily affected by FUDs. So we are one of the roles that they find in the community to say, hey, calm down. We gotta see it in the long term. So that's how we see it. And then as a block producer, what I want to promote is actually EOS has such a potential with its mechanism of staking. I think it is possible to, instead of pump and dump, everybody can just stake to everybody win for the long-term game. So I think I approach this game as a movement. So hey, instead of getting influenced by FUD, why don't you just stake for longer? So for now, the staked amount of the EOS tokens about 30%. Well, what happens? Say 18, 90% is all staked, right? The prices automatically, price will go up. So that's what you want to create as block producers.
That's cool. Yves, so I've seen you, flying around doing meetups. Is that how EOS Nation engage with your community?
Yeah, I do fly around quite a bit. So I guess the way it started for EOS Nation is we started our ambassador program. We started our ambassador program in February. And the idea was just to try and find people around the world that were as interested in EOS as we were. And they were just looking to hold meetups and just meet with other people in their local communities. And we asked people, hey, if you want to do something, we'll help you out. We'll give you some material. And we'll give you the resources that you need in order to be able to, educational resources primarily in the beginning, in order to be able to hold more meetups. This idea grew really, really quickly, and we now have 13 official ambassadors, and I think we have another 11 or so that are pending.
That's really cool.
And
wow.
This is how we keep in touch with the community, because our ambassadors are located throughout the world. And the idea is we're able to get a pulse from different areas, what's important for them. And so not only is it what's important for large token holders and small token holders, but geographically as well, what's important to people in Southeast Asia or Africa is very, very different than what's important to people in China.
Can you give some examples of that? I'd love to.
The biggest thing that we see right now is cost of account creation. We have a significant amount of ambassadors in Africa, Nigeria specifically, and a lot of our community members out there, they don't even have the 3 EOS to be able to, or at the peak, I guess, the 3 EOS to be able to create an account. And that was a big thing that we were hearing from our community. And so our big focus right now, and it's always been, we want to have EOS accessible to as many people as possible. If the idea is to have EOS be adopted by the mainstream community all around the world and to be able to expand to be the blockchain, you need to give access to everybody. And that's definitely defined what we've been doing in terms of actions and how we push forward for the community in terms of what we want to see as next steps and as the issues come about.
What is like the distribution of your community? Because for example, Cannon's very focused in the Chinese community, NodeOne, the Korean community. And have you seen some of what about the distribution of your community?
That's a really good question. I mean, through our ambassadors, we have, I mean, they're throughout the world. They're spread out throughout the world. I don't know exactly where everybody's from, but what we do when we do our weekly AMA is I always ask people, where are you from? And people post the comment in the country of where they're from, similar to what we did with the go, no-go vote. Yeah. And it's always interesting because we have people from all over that we really didn't expect. So at some point, I remember somebody offered to translate our documents into Serbo-Croatian. We really didn't expect that we would have that much presence all around the world in areas that were really, really niche markets. What I was talking about Nigeria earlier, we're able to translate right now documents into 4 different Nigerian languages, like sub-dialects of. And so we have like a really, really good spread out North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Oceania. We're kind of missing, so if anybody's interested in. But yeah, no, we have kind of a really good spread. And a large part of the community is in Korea and is in China.
How do you, so when you say you do the AMA every single week, how do you deal with like language barrier? Because I imagine you won't be able to speak all the languages.
No, so the way that we do it is in Discord right now, and people write in their questions, and basically I just answer them. So it's all unscripted, people can ask whatever they want, and we do it typically after the BP meetings. So for a while we were doing it twice a week, now we've lowered the BP meetings to once a week. So we've been doing it that time, and what we do is people either, I always start by giving a summary of what just happened on the call, and then depending on on the AMA discussions, we record it afterwards, and if there was something that was interesting, we also translate and we transcribe a lot of the material that we do so that we can reach out to as many people as possible.
This is cool. I think this is actually some practice that a lot of BPs can learn from as well. A question to Bo. How do you stay in touch with the people in Silicon Valley? What are some of the things that you do?
Yep, thanks for the question. Yeah, and so for us, we are having actually a pretty diverse community as well. So it's not like both in Silicon Valley, in China, in Australia. So our approach is basically trying to do the combination of online and offline together. So in speaking of online, so it's like in Silicon Valley community, we're trying to going through different meetup groups, because one of our main focus is actually targeted to the developer community, because there are tons of great engineers out there, and then we definitely want to attract them to build on EOS. So if they're actually attracted, then many great dApps will be coming out. So what we do is actually we went to many meetups and then hosted many kind of developer-focused talks throughout the Silicon Valley area. So that's the kind of the offline approach we're trying to do. Just go to as much meeting as possible to evangelize EOS throughout the whole area to make people more excited about it. And also with the awesome news that several days ago, Peter Thiel, the big men, are coming to investing. I think it's actually a huge confidence boost for us, and also all the EOS community. So we're actually mainly we're gradually going the mainstream, and I think that's something really awesome. And also, yeah, so that's our kind of our main approach right now.
That's cool. Next question is going to be tough. And I'm going to start from you. You know, when I engage with a lot of token holders, and when I spoke with them about voting and staking to vote, usually the first question they ask me is, what is it in it for me, for the token holders? What is the incentive for me to vote? What is your answer if you were asked?
Well, actually, I posted a lot about it on Telegram, and it is also about the discussions about whales voting and their motives. If I would have like serious money invested in EOS, my idea would be that the most important thing would be that EOS as a system and as a currency, not a currency, but as a token, would thrive. Would be healthy in the long term. So my answer to any voter has been and will always be, look at, disperse your votes to where you see the greatest possibility for a healthy ecosystem. And that's also why we have reached out to the world. Amsterdam, the Netherlands, is a small country. And we feel like we should interact with the voters all over the world. So we translated almost all of our stuff in Chinese and made YouTube films where we present ourselves, and EOS as well. We like to see ourselves as an intermediary between, put geographically in between the US or North America and Asia. And in the middle is Europe. And in the middle of Europe, that's where we are. So what we try to say to the community and to the world, to the voters, is that we're doing a global program, and we should try and learn from each other as much as possible.
What about smaller token holders? Because big whales, I can see that they can see things in more long term.
Well, smaller token holders, they should vote for EOS Amsterdam because Amsterdam is such a nice city. Now, I'm half joking. I mean, I think if you like myself, I'm a very small token holder. If you have to do, of course, I do my research, but if you have to do your research, if you don't have the time and energy to check out every block producer, obviously, there's no way of knowing what to follow or what to vote for. So I think they can allow a little frivolism, They don't have to be that serious about it.
Ricky wanted to comment on it.
Okay. This question is I be asked in our community very frequently because they are big holder. They maybe need a reward. Why? Basically, we do some action to reply this question. We do very more interview for overseas block producers because we want to introduce the good block producer to China community to make them know about the whole world community. And because they are the stakeholder with the EOS, because they hold a lot of EOS token, and they need a responsible for their token to vote for the right block producers. So we make them how to choose the block producer. That's what we do, and we often set up the meetup between Western and Eastern. It's to reduce some the misunderstanding, right?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Han, do you get that question from the Korean community?
So let me just talk about two most biggest questions that I get. So we do surveys a lot, and then instantly when you throw a Google survey, we get like 200-300 responses in just 30-15 minutes. And then there's two biggest requests that I see from the community. The biggest one is a stake. What's the return? What's my return for staking? The second thing is I lost my private key. I lost my do something. That's the thing. So we are, as a block producers, we are having lots of conversation on that. And then, so for the staking part, so I think what you can do is that, giving a kickback, direct EOS kickback, it's not possible, it's impossible, it's a direct, outright illegal, right? So what I think instead we can do is, there's lots of BPs that wants to accelerate dApps, right? So instead of giving EOS tokens, we can issue, let dApps that you incubate, let them issue tokens, and then give more tokens to those who stakes than just speculators. In that way, we can further align the interest of everybody.
So you mean targeted airdrop to the voters?
You could say voters, or you can change the word like stakes, those who stakes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
This is actually an interesting idea. I mean, I think we're getting into questions where people ask, what is the incentive for me to vote? What is the incentive for me to stake? And I want to hear more creative solutions. So Han mentioned about airdropping to people who stake. Is there any other idea that you thought of?
One other thing that I wanted to add is we see that it's really important to cast as many votes as possible. So in the beginning, I thought why do we have a 30 votes per token? It's insane. It's only gonna increase the whale's power, right? But then it's not. It's actually spreading. So I think we can, all of us, all BPs, we can promote those whale token holders. Hey, cast as many votes as possible. In that way, we can objectively see, like, those BPs who makes lots of value, who get recognized, they're gonna be automatically high in the top. So I think in that way, we can just, cast as many votes as possible, and then we BPs accelerate, and then their dApps, each tokens, we can mix two ways to make the whole ecosystem healthier.
That's cool. Yves, you wanted to add something to incentivize people?
Yeah, I just thought about the staking portion. Feel free to steal this idea because I'm not going to do it. For small token holders, one of the things that could be interesting is you get a badge. And because somebody was mentioning CryptoKitties earlier and collectibles, what if you had a badge that for every day or for every block that you were staking your tokens for, it would increase, and at some point that badge could be worth something because I've staked for 737 days in a row without unstaking, kind of deal.
That's a very cool idea. If there's a dApp developer out there, this is actually a very interesting idea to pick on.
Yeah, and I would like to add one more thing about that Hahn just mentioned. Hahn said, so our BPs should kind of evangelize and just to ally the community to vote as much BP as possible. That's definitely true. And also on the other side, essentially, I think BPs can also make more conscientious efforts to encourage and to go to the community that they're not very familiar with. I think one example actually I can give actually from Hahn, because I met Hahn in San Francisco, and then so he told me that he basically have known personally of almost every BP in the world. I asked him how. He told me he flew to every possible big conference throughout the world to meet as many BP as possible. I think that's a kind of a step going out your comfort zone to kind of get to know more, because we have such different differences in geographical, cultural, or even political. But if we can actually, and I do observe that many BPs are trying their best to, we're all here in Korea, and then maybe in Shanghai, we'll be in the United States, we'll be in Europe. So as more BPs kind of paying conscious effort in going to the culture or areas they're not familiar with, and then telling them as much information as possible would be really helpful to help the token holders to vote as many BP as possible. Yeah.
Awesome. So this question, I actually wanted to leave it to you guys to pick from another BP that you want to ask about their audience, their token holders, their community. What is one question you want to ask about them? What is one thing that you want to learn from them?
Yeah, what I want.
Pick one first.
Pick one.
Yeah.
Okay, Hahn, sitting next to me, and we've known each other. What I want to know, and what my big question has been for a while, is how we can enlarge our community, because we're talking about token holders. Those are people that are already in there. They have something at stake. Excuse my language, but how do we get ordinary people, ordinary business into EOS?
Ordinary people are extending the outreach.
Specifically to Korean community or?
Worldwide.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty simple because it takes money to create a new account. So actually, I see, in Korea, we are just beginning a service where we using up our tokens to help those new token holders to create their account. And then I see there's lots of BPs doing the same thing. So I think it can be a good initiative. And then one thing is that, I really wanted to say here is that Korean voters are losing their interest. Korea is a big market. Korea has a 30% of all the transactions here. And then Korean block producers, 8, you see there's 8. And then we are not on top 21. So guys, please help, we are losing interest here. You know what I mean? So please.
Why do you think that might be the case?
Huh?
Let's dive into that a little bit more. Why do you think that might be the case?
I don't know. It's okay. So take a look. Soccer, World Cup.
World
right?
Cup.
It's a World Cup. If your country is a top 16th, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
We just actually Yetse just tweeted like 3 weeks ago. Hey Han, hey I really hope Korea wins against Germany. But then we are already losing hope. We already look because we even if we win against Germany, we already cannot get into top 16. But then we won against Germany. Korea winning against Germany, it's impossible. 2-0. And then people go crazy. So that's how where you put attention. It's only fun when you kind of have this winning feeling, right? So that's it.
Yeah, so I actually have a question to both Yves and Ricky, because I consider EOS Nation and EOS Cannon are good to representative of a loosely coupled community and a very tight-knit community. Because so these are the two main types of community right here. So I'm wondering, guys, what's your experience in building a tightly coupled community and a loosely widely spread community, and then how the experience can be shared with fellow BPs, how to achieve that?
I guess for us, because it's such a community that's spread out, a big part of what we need to do is empower them. So we empower our ambassadors, we empower our community, and that's really specific to each different person and to each different region. So like I was saying earlier, what one person needs is very different than somebody else. And so our main role is to keep them involved. And so it links to this as well. How do you keep people involved? And so through social media for us is one big thing. And another reason why I'm in the plane all the time and why our ambassadors why our co-founders are in planes all the time. We've hosted over 50 meetups worldwide at this point. And that's how we get the pulse from people. And so be accessible, empower them, and continue the education, give them access.
Thanks.
For Canon, we not only the big holder group, we also have the smallholder groups. We hope to enlarge our community to outside the big holders, because it's the future of the community, right? So we can make the community very tight because everyone wants to join our the treasury holder group. Everyone, I will add the WeChat contact one by one. So we always talk each other privately, and they have questions they can ask me directly, both in technical side or the community side. So maybe it's a Chinese culture. They like to, and they good at to make friends. They like to social together. Yeah, I think that's why Chinese community size is so large. Yeah.
Thank you. And also, I would like to ask a question about to Dafeng and the rest of us as well, because for us, because our location, we're thinking about building a developer community as well, because from the various communication with the developers across the world, there's actually one thing that really struck me is that they're actually trying to find a place to let the developers to help each other, because like NSGM just mentioned that there's documentation, they're not fully documented, and also there's various issues in development. So we're actually trying to build this community to help developers to help each other. So I'm wondering, do you have any ideas or suggestions that how we can kind of enable the developer community to help each other?
Yeah, so at EOS Asia, we actually have like a developer group, a WeChat group, that we talk a lot about any updates that get released by Block 1, as well as answering questions from developers that they have faced. And and from there, we also have seen awesome projects, awesome developers, and we get more hands-on helping them. And I actually think that block producers are the first group of people that the developers will ask help from. They think that we're definitely more technically savvy. We know how EOS work, and as EOS Asia, we often get very hands-on helping them. And for awesome projects, we actually go and incubate them as well. I think there's also multitude of problems that developers right now face. Hahn mentioned something about RAM costs, creating account costs. We've seen awesome projects that's porting hundreds of thousands of users from their internet, the SaaS-based company to blockchain, and found that this is a huge cost for them. So we're exploring other solutions for them as well. Things like the sidechain, things as the solutions on the RAM. There's also they also don't have a very stable test net that they can deploy things to. So we're working with some of the Chinese BPs to set up a stable test net that replicates a production environment for them to deploy their smart contract before they go live. So those are the things that we're doing as EOS Asia.
Thanks.
What about other people?
Okay, I have a question. Because China is a big market, and both on the token holder and the people in China who like EOS. Because this, every BP has the requirement to operate in China. So what EOS Cannon can do for you in China? Yeah.
Help us. And okay, that was obvious, right? No, I think we need to understand the Chinese issues. I've come aboard EOS Amsterdam because of my legal background. So what we try and establish is a compliant blockchain, but it's in Europe, so it's European based. What we would like to know from the Chinese, if we reach out to them, is are there any regulatory stuff? Is there regulatory stuff out there? How do we encourage our community, small community, but internationally orientated, to build apps that will actually resonate in China? How could we arrange for that communication? And we have already Chinese, I would say, ambassadors and Korean ambassadors as well. So we're trying to establish that. But that's it. It's what do you guys want? And in exchange for that, we can tell you what. I mean, the European Union is a huge market. It's very interesting, but they are not as crypto-minded as they should be or could be. So there's a lot, very, very much to gain there. And as a return favor, we're very looking forward to helping you to get stuff working in Europe as well, and enlarge your market considerably.
Okay, so time is up, and I want to continue this discussion among the block producers after the panel. And let's give a round of applause to the 5 block producers from all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much.